Good afternoon, good evening, hola. Welcome wherever you are, live around the world. Welcome to Uplift, uplifting conversations that set your heart on fire. My name is Sarah Wade. I'm an art therapist, life coach, mindset coach, fun person, nature lover, and I am here with my co-host today. He's a lovely man. He's a best-selling author and life coach coming to you live from Canada. This is Mr. Neil Thrussell.
Welcome and hello, Sarah, and hello, Bruce. I'm just pumped and wired, and I've got coffee. I've had sugar. I'm just ready to go. Shh, don't tell my wife I've had sugar.
I won't tell if you don't tell. And we've got this is Bruce Sanchez, who's a high performance coach joining us live from lockdown in Melbourne. How are you today?
Hola, hola, hola. Hello, my friends. I'm super pumped for being here. Like you said, we're still here on the battlefield of Melbourne with a lockdown, stagnant lockdown. And yeah, what can I say? Have to love it, right?
Doing good things for the community, though. I've been following you for some time now, Bruce. I've got to say, what a change you've made in the last couple of years since we've known each other. I was wondering if you could just share a bit about your journey with us.
Well, yeah, it's been a journey, like you said. It all began almost 2 years ago with my experience with PTSD in the prison. I was working full time as a correctional officer here. I'm still going on a casual basis now and then, a couple of times a fortnight. I just go there to talking to prisoners and some stuff. I'm doing my correctional officer stuff, no? But yeah, it's been an experience because it's almost 4 years being a correctional officer, member of the Special Operations Group, and late 2019 we were facing a lot of extractions, interventions, and a lot of explicit, things. Prisoners. This is a medium and maximum security prison. We have a maximum for prisoners with mental health issues, and then medium male prisoners. I now remember, I don't know why, for what reason, but October, November 2019, we faced a lot. Attempt of suicidal, self-harming, stabbing among prisoners, cell extractions. I mean, was a lot. And I wasn't managed, let's say, the stress. I was doing fine. Well, that's what I thought, right? And with something that I want to say is like because normally when you experience some stress or some PTSD or whatever, the doctors always tell you you need to do exercise. No, you need to. At that time, I was fit, not fit, next level of fit. I was really, really fit, training. I was part of the Special Operations Group. But bang, PTSD hit me anyways, regardless of the physical condition. And that's how my journey, let's say, as a being more professional in coaching began. And I remember it was in December conducting prisoners count with my colleague. It was a public holiday. I'm pretty sure it was Boxing Day. I can't even remember, but I think it was Boxing Day. Anyways, it was quiet. It was in the afternoon. Prisoners were in themselves, and just was conducting the count, and suddenly I couldn't breathe. I started shaking and started like this, and I didn't know what was going on. So I just made up something. So I need to go to the toilet. Then went to the toilet and nearly fall down and couldn't breathe. And it was I thought I was gonna die, a heart attack or something, but I couldn't understand what happened. And that for me was a very turning point for me, and it's been a blessing, I have to say, because that for me was like a kind of cold. You know what I mean? My body, my mind was like a bam, slapping me on the face, like, "Mate, you need to wake up. Whatever you're doing, it's not working. We got enough." That's how I interpret. That's how I,
That in
interpret that
itself is
happened.
absolutely amazing, because you could have spiraled down into the true victimhood, and you could still been there. But so have you always had this resilience? I'll use the word resilience to to look at the brighter side? Because you could have spiraled down, because it's and there's, you know, depression, whatever, but for some reason you chose to go look at it differently. Have you always been that way?
Yes. 20 years ago, back in Spain, was struggle with addictions. I was addicted for years until I hit rock bottom and I said, nah, I can't do this anymore. That was into September 2000. Let me remember, 2002. Yeah, 2002, the year after the 9/11. Yeah. And that's why I reached out to my family and I said, I need to do something about it. I'm trying to. It's not working. I need help, professional help. That's what I need. So I did. That was almost 20 years ago. And I was determined because I really wanted to be, you know, off of drugs and stuff like that. And that was for me my first biggest transformation in life. My second one was 2 years ago at the prison. Yeah. So there's a pattern here. Yeah, there is a pattern here.
I'm about to ask you, with that pattern, did you notice that having that first, I'm going to call it a hiccup, that first hiccup, did that help you with the second?
Yes, absolutely. Because, like I said, it was like a wake-up call for me, because it's like, just wake up the last time, right? Because I remember at that time, for the last 3 years, my life was wake up, gym, work, home. Wake up, gym, work, home. Some days off in between, and then some annual leave. That was my life for 3 years. Right? And I remember I wanted to be more in the coaching field, because when I overcame my addictions, I became fascinated with all the psychology, all the the human potential, all the stuff. At that time in Spain, coaching, no one knew anything about coaching. We call it therapy, or we call it whatever it was. So I always was very intrigued and fascinating. But life get busy, and then start doing this and doing that, and postponing. And I remember a year before I got this my first panic attack at the prison, I was telling my wife, I want to try this coaching like more seriously. But I was postponing until bang, So yeah, I see the pattern here, and the thing that I see very similar to with 20 years ago to this one, when that situation happened. Deep down, even when I was with addictions, I knew deep down that I was going to stop that one day. I knew that. I knew I was able to do it, and I was trying. I was kind of BS myself, like, no, I can do it on my own. Well, I can do many things on my own, but some other stuff we need some other people, most of the time. So deep down I knew that I was gonna make it, but I needed to humble myself and say, I need help,
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. I know that a lot of people could probably relate to that. And if you're watching this live or replay, let us know if you can relate to Bruce's story at all.
So we have a Facebook user from our group that's saying hi, but the problem is we don't know who's saying hi because they didn't give the appropriate permission. So whoever it is, hello and welcome, and we're glad to have you on our show.
Absolutely. StreamYard's pretty awesome because you can get in touch with us, you can send us messages, and we will answer it right here live. So if you would like to do it anonymously, go ahead and do that. Or if you would like StreamYard to share your name, and Bruce, myself, or Neil will be happy to share your question. Hey, Carlos, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Carlos Villarreal. Yeah, there we go.
I just realized I said that before everybody else did. Sorry. So yeah, Bruce, what an amazing journey you've been on. And I know that You've been documenting parts of this through your time. One of the fascinating things that I found was, we're in a world as creatures. There's a lot of us. We're fighting for space. We're fighting for attention for a range of reasons to help others. And I love that you went to Spanish. You noticed there was this gap in the market, and you used what you knew well. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes, you just nailed it. I was a bit resistant to go in Spanish because I wanted to, even when you know the drills, most of the time the BS doesn't go away. We still BS ourselves and away. And then I remember I was talking to my dad, and he was saying, you have to do something in Spanish. I want to understand you. And I had at that time, it wasn't a YouTube channel. I have an account on YouTube. And I remember 10 years ago, I did a martial arts YouTube channel. It was very successful, but I left Spain, and then my channel was, but I had like a 40,000 subscribers. I have actually have a video with 1 million views. So yeah, and that was in 2012. I mean, I know the YouTube's algorithms was a bit different right now than now, but I remember in March this year, after talking to my dad, I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a crack, and I'm going to start streaming videos in Spanish, because like you said, there's a kind of a gap here. I mean, there's a big names in Spain, and South America, and about coaching, but all the stuff that I've learned from Brendan Bouchard, from Sean Smith, from now Bruce Lipton and Rob Williams with the Psyche World, I see that it's not that many. And that made me think, like, you know what, I'm gonna try this and start sharing all the knowledge, all the certificate courses that I've done, and share it with the people, with the Spanish people or Latin people. And that was in March this year. Now I just hit 1,000 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, so it's pretty good, because it's 2021. YouTube, is really hard now to get some attention, views of subscribers. But I was very surprised, amazingly surprised. Like, okay, it's working. I mean, the only purpose for me with the YouTube is, like I said, to share all the information and knowledge with people. And well, at the moment, people start liking it, and I'm super happy with that. So pretty good.
Yeah, it's wonderful that you're doing that. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brendan Bouchard is one of those moments that I wish I could go back in time. I was taking a program with Janet Bray Atwood called the Passion Test, and Janet Bray Atwood had met Brendan Bouchard, and he said, I need some help. And Janet Bray Atwood, basically, she has the Rolodex to all of the big name people, and she said, this guy is just ready to just burst onto the scene. He is the real deal and the real package. Neil, I think you should. And she picked the phone up and called me and said, Neil, I need you to go to LA. He's doing a big ticket, big circus event. And it was just, I chose not to make it work. And I'm like, because it was like a small, intimate gathering of like 400 or 500 people, and that's from that moment on, he just exploded. And anyone that was at the big ticket tent, still he's like knows their names, knows all of this, and I'm like, yeah. comes back to the old adage: when you've got an opportunity, take it. And I didn't.
Yeah.
So how did you choose, of all the coaching modalities, what drew you to leadership?
Well, leadership is what a word, huh? What's leadership, for example? Well, look, it's something that I like about myself. I like to keep things very simple. I don't like complexity. And for example, leadership, I've heard a lot of definitions. For me, what I've seen, this is my experience. It doesn't mean that it's true or it's right or wrong. From my experience, I think the use of the meaning of leadership has been a little bit misused and misunderstanding from my perspective. A lot of people are identifying or confusing leadership with authority, which has nothing to do with each other. And I've seen it a lot, especially at the workplace, right? He's a leader, no, he's a manager. Doesn't mean that a manager or a boss is a leader. It's just a position, it's a hierarchy position. That has nothing to do with leadership. How I see how I understand leadership, for me, to keep it as simple as possible, it's someone who inspires other people to become the best. For me, that's leadership. Brenda Bouchard has, it's not a saying, but he has an example. It's like, if someone enters in the room, he says, "Here I am." No, that's kind of a boss, an authority figure. Leadership is like, "Hey, here you are." I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, that kind of approach means a lot. A leader that doesn't need to be someone who wants to be on the spotlight all the time. Most of the time, they are always at the backstage, right? And inspires other people to become the best. That's for me. That's how I live leadership.
Yeah. I love that. That sounds like it's similar to my definition, in that it's that way. You help one person and you help others. It's a beautiful thing. And we've got Carlos just joining us and mentioning that leadership is being able to. Oh, I've lost my screen. Being able to show people how to. Oh, my screen's gone. I don't know if you can read that for me or not. Help people to show up in their natural state to contribute. Thanks for sharing, Carlos. Appreciate it.
Apparently, Carlos wrote that in Spanish the way you were struggling with this there, Sarah.
Well, my screen kept going. I had to translate. It was tricky.
Yeah. And for example, to answer your question, Neil, about why I choose leadership, or for example, high performance from Brenda Bouchard, because first of all, I like the way Brenda Bouchard approaches leadership and coaching and people. I really connected really fast with him, and that's that for me. I remember was with a friend. He's in Germany. He's a Mexican. I think you know him, Sarah. It's Dario Gutierrezco. He used to be with PT. Yeah, and then he sent me a few links from Brenda Bouchard, and then I said, "Oh shit, I love this!" And then I started diving, and then I just, I said, "I'll go for this." This resonates a lot with me, because throughout my life, I saw myself kind of high performing in a way, like, overcoming addictions and now dealing with this. For example, when I came back to Australia in 2014, I didn't know how to speak English. I just taught myself English. I couldn't afford an English school, so I had to come here with no English, with Australian passport, with no English. That was so funny. So I started from scratch here, but it's just a pattern that is repeating in my life, that all the lack of things like language and language barrier and stuff, I use them as a reason to keep going, not as an excuse to stop, to not to do anything. So I saw myself kind of a high performer in that way, like regardless of the circumstances, I always believed in myself. That's how I overcame addictions. It's how I overcame, or how I learned from the PTSD and panic attacks. Because after all, I trust in myself. And even if I have to hit rock bottom sometimes, it's a wake-up call for me, and then whoop, back again. And the high performance training was amazing, all the tools, all the teachings from Brendan. And I think that if I could, anyone can. I'm no more special than anyone. Absolutely not. Not at all. And sometimes we need someone to remind us how brilliant we are. That's it. And that's it. That's how I see it through.
So
Yeah.
for our viewers and our listeners who are approaching rock bottom, or they've stumbled and stubbed their toe, what are some of the tools or techniques that you've used to pick yourself up, that you would say that if you found yourself sitting on the ground and you need to pick yourself up, what would you use as a recommend or say for a person?
Yes, that is a lesson to be learned. That happened to me 20 years ago without knowing that I was doing it, but I felt that there was a lesson behind that situation, because when I hit rock bottom 20 years ago with addictions, I nearly experienced an overdose. That was the thing, that pump that did it to my brain, and that's what I said. No, there is something else here. The life, the universe is trying to teach me something. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna figure out what it is. So I remember 20 years ago, I was really scared. Like I said, I was really close to an overdose. Somehow, like a couple years ago in the prison, I managed to calm down, to cool down, and to keep myself, even when at that state, I was pretty high. I cooled down and I was like, I was myself for a moment. And I said, no, this is not what I want to be. This is not the life that I want to live. And this is not who I am. And I remember 2 years ago when I was diagnosed with PTSD with the psychiatrist, I went to the office, and then some questions, and then he gave me the report. I was reading it, and I was in front of him, and please excuse me if I accidentally use a bad word, but I was reading the report. Yeah, I try not to. 4 years in the prison, it's really hard. not to. No, I was reading that, and I remember it was like disturbance of conduct, depressed mood. That shocked me a lot. Depressed mood, more than needs to be treated as post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever. And that's what I said to I didn't tell him anything, but I said, nah, F this. You know what? This is not who I am. I was talking to myself at that time, thinking, nah, this is not who I am. No way. No. You know what? This is how I felt. I might agree with that, but this is not who I am or what I am. And this is BS. Nah, I'm going to do something about it. That was my thinking at that time, because what I've learned from experience in life, especially from my mom. My life is a lot. For example, my mom and my dad, they used to fight each other physically. It was like a physical abuse from my dad to my mom. And my mom has been with depression for 40 years, with prescribed drugs and stuff. 40 years. It's not working. But I'm not blaming the doctors or the medication. It's not working because my mother doesn't want to make it work, because she's used to that. She's attached to that level. I'm a depressed person. That's for me the dangers of labeling. That's how I see it. It's like PTSD. Nah, I'm not going to identify myself to this. No way. I'm going to do something about it. It's how I feel, but I might agree with that, but my feelings don't define myself. I am above my feelings, my thoughts, and my behavior. We all are above that. So, yeah, that's how I said, no labeling, nothing. I'm going to do something. Yeah.
That's a key point, guys. We're watching this live and in replay. Let us know if you felt like that, if you felt unhappy or whatever emotion, and you've attached yourself to that. I am this, I am that. Yes. I am depressed. That's not a great way for your mindset, is it? I'm feeling uneasy. Sure, I feel a bit physically sick. I feel this. So, think about your symptoms. It's slightly different. You can help to change your mindset and get out of it. One of the biggest tips, we've got Lisa joining us David's popped in before to say, Bruce, you're doing really well. And Lisa's just said, good on you.
Thank you.
One of the things that I wanted to share with you is that, when you are struggling in those situations and you just don't know what to do, you're feeling uneasy, there's simple things you can do to ground yourself. We can all count. Doesn't matter if it's Spanish, English, or if you're learning to count in Japanese or another language, you can count anything. So if you're feeling down, there is a lot of stuff that you can distract yourself with in the moment, whether it be counting ants, whether it be counting bricks, whether it be counting the seconds, counting your breaths. There are ways that you can get through that negative space and detach yourself from that emotion and reach out and ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to add to that, I usually add that I am having the experience of depression, or I'm having the experience of anger. I am having the experience of something, but I am not that experience. I am going through it and living in that moment, and I'm just having it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, that's how I felt it. And look, that's my truth. That's my reality. Doesn't mean it has to be for everyone. But how I see it is like we are, and I've seen it a lot in the prison too. Prisoners call themselves prisoners, criminals. And I remember, because when you're working in a prison as a correctional officer, at least here in Victoria, I think it's the whole Australia, but anyways, I don't know other prisons in Australia. We have we do case management with prisoners. So we have around 14, 15, 16, depends the prison. We touch base with them every month, and then we recommend some courses, programs. We have to interact with them, right? And then always in my first meetings with prisoners, regardless of the offense, all right? Because remember, most of the prisoners have been judged already, right? We're not judging anyone. Or that's at least the principles of being a correctional officer. Anyways, first meeting, we sit down, and always I deal with all prisoners, 100% of my prisoners. I told them, Mike, the only difference between you and I right now, I'm wearing a different uniform, all right? Just to be clear. I'm not your enemy. I'm here to help as long as you want to get helped. You can reach me out anytime, all right? I don't care what you've done out of the prison. You've been judged already. So I don't care, and I'll tell you, I don't care. I've been sitting on the table with pedophiles, murderers, drug dealers, a lot of people. All right, but this work, what I would say for being a correctional officer, is been amazing for me to separate people from performance. One of the requirements when you join same as police officers, as a correctional officer, you need to be out of judgment, right? Not many people do that. Not many people, but for me, it was an amazing experience to interact with different kind of mindsets and people. You know what I mean? So that was always my introduction as a case manager with them. So I'm here to help you. I don't care what you've done. What are you gonna do now? For me, is what matters the most. What you've done in the past, we collect the information. As the information is good, but we're not going to spend time. Well, what happened yesterday? No. What are you going to do now? What are those things, or what are the things that you want to do in order to become better tomorrow? That's for me what matters the most. You want to work with me? We go. You don't care. You just there. You want to do your time and go. All right, I'll tick my boxes and that's it. Done. But just let you know that I'm here to help, regardless of. And that's for me, it's been an amazing experience, because you see inside the prison, they're labeling themselves criminals. I'm this, I'm that. And that doesn't help. It's obviously, I mean, look, the prisons here around the world, they're packed. There's something that's not working. All right. And then you listen to them, the conversations, they are not different about people out of the prison. It's pretty much the same. There is no difference.
Absolutely, and I love your perspective of like, what are you going to do now to better yourself for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because your past, okay, that's part of you, but what are you doing right here, right now? That's wonderful. That's beautiful because that's really what all coaching is okay, you've got this past. Now, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I will always be grateful for my years in the prison as a correctional officer, because I think that that position, that job, that experience, regardless that I experienced my PTSD in the prison. So, and I think my PTSD, my panic attacks were a blessing. So, so there's nothing, it's, I'm so grateful for being in the prison, and now I'm transitioning to a different world. But that experience with me, it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget. Yeah. Because not everybody that have that experience. Come on. I mean, it's a privilege. Sometimes I felt like a privileged person, not to experience that, because everybody deserves a second chance in life. Every single one.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, and I'm gonna share. I normally don't do this. My wife doesn't like that I do this, because I know it can be hurting some feelings. But I remember I was in a management unit, and it was this guy. I think he had a Latin or American or Spanish background, and he was in jail for, minors. Okay, we're gonna leave it in minors.
Yeah.
But when I had the case management with him, I saw clearly he was broke, because he grew up in a broken environment. You know what I'm saying? I'm not condoning. I'm just understanding, which is for me different, right? Condoning and understanding. So it's like Bruce Lipton says, our life or our beliefs is gonna be determined with the environment we're gonna growing up with. It's determined. I mean, it's not about genes. Like, if you have some knowledge about epigenetics, it means that your genes don't rule your life. It's your environment, your thoughts, and your beliefs. It's what makes you either sick or healthy. It's gonna, you know what I'm saying? And I see clearly in the prison of hurt people. It's so clear for me. Yeah.
Wonderful. Because you're talking about the corrections, I played hockey 2 years ago we have fish and wildlife officers who carry guns, and I played hockey with fish and wildlife officers and corrections officers. And the fish and wildlife officers had guns because they would come off their shift and then come to work. So they had a safe bag that they locked their weapons away, and there's a whole bunch of protocol, but everyone on the team knew that bag contained the guns, and the bag on the other bench contained the ammunition. So it was just everybody knew, and everybody's safe. What we didn't know is one of our players was a guest of the correctional system, and he sat on the bench for the first time, and he goes, "What's in the bag?" And he said, and they said, "A firearm." And he goes, insert bad word. He goes, "Well, shit. And I'm now in violation of my parole hearing, my parole." And two other correction guys are sitting there, and they're going, "Oh, yeah." And we didn't know that one of his was his correction officer. They were playing hockey together. And then they're like, "Okay, we need to change this." So then we had to, because it was pickup hockey, we had to change a whole bunch of what's going on, and everybody accommodated. Nobody cared that he was in for a minor offense, and they knew that all everybody said is minor offense, and it was a blue collar crime, which was he stole and embezzled some money. He admitted to it, but because to get out, he couldn't be in close to guns and all of that. So it was like, now when we were playing hockey after that, it's like the Fish and Wildlife got, "Anybody in violation?" The whole team's putting their hand up.
Yeah. Oh my
But again,
God.
it was come down. No one cared, because the guy was trying, like he was trying to change his life. He was in the system, trying to do his best. And we didn't know that he'd been playing hockey with us for 2 months. His parole officer and the corrections officer knew, but they were all tight-lipped. They weren't going to break the sanctity of it. So I have a little understanding, poquito, of your of what you were having to do.
Yeah. So what a different world, let's Sarah, from Canada from here. No one carries guns here in Australia.
No, yeah. Yeah.
And it's only very few that carry it. And the people that are fish and wildlife, they're with the hunters. So it's kind of evening out. A hunter has a gun. You kind of want to send somebody else on an even footing out. But very few officers, like your police, have guns. Not like where you see in the States where anything, parking patrols have guns. We issue parking tickets and there's no guns, but very few have them.
Well, I carry guns here in the prison. Not anymore. Because I wanted to. Part of the requirements to be on a special operations group, you need to have your firearms license. I didn't have it before in Spain. I trained with them because I was an international Krav Maga instructor. I was a black belt, 3 degree. I was teaching Krav Maga self-defense, knife fighting, all that stuff. My story is the hard training.
Oh, I didn't know this. What martial arts were you taking?
I was Krav Maga. You know Krav Maga? Yeah. And I was teaching when I came back to Australia. I was teaching in the IDF, in the Israeli Defense Force here in Melbourne, and then I went to Brisbane to Gallipoli barracks. So for doing some fancy training with knives and stuff, pretty cool. And so when I became a part of the CERT team or Special Operations Group, one of the requirements was the firearms license. And I'm going to tell you something. I was quite disappointed with myself because I didn't enjoy it. Because I felt the power with a gun, and because I'm a truly believer that our best and worst weapon is this one. With this, you can prevent anything you want, and the reverse effect is the same. This could be our best ally or our worst enemy. So I'm still believing that guns is just an extremely last resort. And I carried a gun for a few, because in the prison here, when you escort maximum security persons to medical escorts, you need to carry a gun. It's a requirement. So I had to do it. Then I experienced it. I did it a few times. I didn't like it. I just resigned. I didn't want it to recall, even with my baton and gas, because now I'm moving to a different world, right? So that for me was a chapter in my life. I had experience, but I think I'm feeling believe that with this, we can solve many more problems than with any other weapon. That's how I see it, and that's how I believe it, and that's how I do it. Yeah.
I'm Hapkido, Korean martial art, and I so believe it. And most self-defense, it needs to be first. You need to know how to extract yourself from a situation, because the best fight is the one you've avoided.
Correct. And I remember being because my mates in the prison, they knew black belt, 3 degree. How you let the prisoner call you names? I don't care. He can call me whatever he wants. Doesn't make it true. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, with your skills, I will do something. What are you gonna do? No one pay me to get a fight here. If I wanna get paid for a fight, I'm going to a ring, or an octagon. You know what I mean? But no, he as a correctional officer doesn't make any sense. Obviously, if you have a extreme situation, you need to use your skills. But I'm gonna tell you something. In these years, because I was a bodyguard in Spain, I worked as a dog handler in Spain, in Madrid. I was with all the canine groups and stuff. In 3 years being in the subway, I had only 3 people to take them out the subway. In 3 years, 3 people, just restraining and take him out. Most of my colleagues, they have that every single day. So how you manage yourself towards the public it's going to make a difference. In the prison, in 4 years, pretty much I have nothing like, unless they, the cell extractions, very, 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 just a few things out of my hands. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna depend on how you behave yourself first to yourself and then to others. And there's always people who are gonna find trouble, even in the most peaceful place. Always gonna find trouble. You know what I mean? And that's I have experience in my life, and I always like to, if you can, like you say, if you can avoid to get a fight with someone or trouble, why bother? You know what I mean? You can avoid it. Fuck it, leave it. You know?
No. I'm thinking, the kids. I'm sure, Neil, when you were back in dinosaur land when you were a child, you had sticks and stones may break your bones, but Neil will never hurt me. No, but words will never hurt me. Those sorts of things. I don't know. I reckon that words, as you mentioned, this being the most powerful things, words can really hurt and destroy, particularly your own. So if you're struggling with your own negative mindset, and you've got other people with their negative mindset, and you are confronted in this situation, what tips would you guys give people to remain calm and to get out of a potential fight that could be brewing?
Neil, do you want to go first?
For me, always remember it's not personal. They're lashing out for some reason, which I have like if I stepped in front of them, I cut them off, then what's behind it is always something bigger than this immediate piece. So it's, yes, they may have called me a name and I may have triggers that shadow work needs to help me through, but I always remember it's that moment is just to recognize there's so much more behind it and not to take it personal. That yes, they may have triggered me, but they're being triggered for something that's even bigger and beyond me. And I just need to extract myself, because violence is the last way, and I need not to respond to continue this conversation or this altercation.
Yeah. 100%. It's not easy, eh? It's not always easy. Look, I have my temper too, eh? I have my temper, but you remember when I said my dad and my mom, they used to physically, and I've seen violence at home, and then I see my dad regretting afterwards, and I grew up with that, right? And I've seen my mom on the other side, and then I saw my dad, and it's like, it's not worth it, mate. It's not worth it. Unless someone wants to, if my life is in threat, in danger, I tell you, I'm the first one to go. Fuck. No way. No, my life, if it's you or me, me is first all the time. But if someone's calling me whatever names, especially working in the prison, you know what I mean? At 7 o'clock, I'm gonna lock him in and go home with my wife. So what's the problem? It's not a problem. But I understand it's not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes you can trigger something, and you wanna, you need to. But like I said, throughout my life, I have very, very few issues with people. Very few. Yeah.
And the other attitude is awareness of your surroundings. Helps you avoid so many things. Like our little cell phones, when we're not aware of the surroundings, we can put ourselves inadvertently in some very uncomfortable positions that we wouldn't need to be in had we actually just paid attention. And we just stand tall, shoulders erect, and not from a place of arrogance, and just walk through. So many times we just get through.
It's one thing that I remember very loud and clear in self-defense classes that I've taken over the years, predominantly with women. And, you know, what happens if you're in a, you know, desperate situation? And they basically said that if you're alone, don't get on your phone, because you've been concentrating on your phone. You don't know your surroundings. You're open yourself to all sorts of things. So, you know, being focused and about what you're doing in the moment is not only going to help your safety, your memories and your life in the moment.
Yeah. You remind me something, Sarah, when I was teaching workshops in Spain here about basic principles, foundations of self-defense. I'm going to ask you now, don't say a word if you know the answer. For example, what is the thing? What do you do before you get your door at home or your car? What do you do? For example, Sarah. Well, from where?
My pocket or my bag.
Okay, because maybe here I like to do like a kind of interaction. What normally people do, they just go there, search for the keys, and then open. Say, all right, do it. I don't remember the girls, and then boom, I start to choking her. You know, one principle, just few meters. It's not being paranoid. It's just precaution, especially if you live in a place. You know what I mean? Have your keys ready in your hand. The least time you spend searching for your keys for either going to your car or your home, the better for you. Just a few minutes, go while you're working, go home, papa, open, and then get in. Just, you know, it's a tip. When you start getting that habit of, you know, doing things and not like just going there, oh, hang on, where are my keys? You know, that's one of the things that we used to teach in Krav Maga as a kind of caution or precaution or prevention, you know. And people say, oh my God, I didn't realize about this. That makes sense. Because, you know, and when I lived in Madrid, it wasn't like a bad area, but it was something in between, you know, and you never know. But like I said, when you're calm and peace with yourself and you're not looking for trouble, it's really hard. It's not that likely that trouble is going to find you. Maybe, you know, sometimes you can, but when you're in that kind of state, it's really hard to, you know, come across with some trouble, if that makes sense.
And that's a beautiful example, just to even spread to the awareness in life. When we're present and we're aware of what's going on around us, we can be fully present and aware to life. If we're always looking and searching for something, we miss what's happening in and around us. The presence to be, you know, what's going on right around us. We can be on our phone and miss the sunset. We can be on the phone and walk right by someone that we were wanting to connect with. We can just get so busy that we walk right by them.
Absolutely.
I've had an experience before where I've been with friends and you're texting each other, you know, where are you? And they look up, you're meters away from each other, you know, look up, enjoy the life. Your eyes, you know, it was really interesting. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. We are supposed to be more connected than ever, but at the same time, we are super disconnected from each other. It's kind of weird, right? We are all texting, but we don't see each other physically, you know, and we need more that human contact more often. Absolutely, it's weird. It's one of the things I remember, Neil. We talked before we jumped on the call about Facebook and the social media, that I'm not that present right now that much as I used to, because it's for me, it's to be honest, I'm not a social media friend. I'm like more like physical thing, you know. I'm more like, yeah. And I know that the world is more demanding this kind of interactions, which is okay. But for me to be 100% only in this, no. And I try to find a way to have more human interaction. I know that now it's not the best, it's not the best moment, but for me, there's nothing can be compared, like, a hug or a nice coffee or whatever you want to have with someone. Because look, I hate coffee, but I grew up in Spain, and Spain is, it's, those takeaways here with the coffee. I didn't understand when I came back here. I said, where are they taking? Yeah, just coffee takeaway. Huh? I didn't get it, because in Spain, when you go, I don't know now, but it's normally, let's have a coffee. You go a bar, you sit on the table, you have your coffee, you might have some sandwich or whatever. You spend 10, 15 minutes, and then you go. No one goes on the street with a coffee takeaways and stuff. No, it wasn't that common, at least. I don't know now, but that's what I'm saying.
I didn't hear anything after Bruce said, I don't like coffee.
No.
I'm still in shock.
Yeah, my wife is Colombian. Can you believe it? I hate coffee. It's not for me. But anyways, I'm the weirdo one.
The right for weirdos.
That just proves to you how much she loves you.
The things you must put up with.
But yeah, that human interaction, I think we're missing a lot of that, and yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people, I mean, especially Melburnians, guys, if you're watching this around the world right now, you probably don't know. Maybe you do. Melbourne's been in lockdown for, I think, about 250 plus days now. And I imagine if it was me, I would, getting outside, I would probably struggle with a bit of social interaction. And I'm a very confident person. Just curious, guys, if you are struggling, you're wanting to get out and talk to people, what would be your go-to? Like, would it be that coffee that we've just mentioned? Or maybe Bruce, it might be not a takeaway coffee, it might be something else. What would you do with that interaction just to first get off base and go, yeah, I've done it. I've seen my person, I've connected.
Well, we have a community, the Spanish people here too. Normally bring some Aussies with me, not all the time, because they're always super busy, but yeah, what we normally do is go restaurants together. That we're always trying to, obviously, we couldn't for the last whatever days, but yeah, what we normally do here, it's just when we can, just go on a weekend and have a lunch or dinner. Sometimes we go to the movies, a couple of friends, and then we go to the movies, and then we go for a walk. That for us for me, it's priceless. My days or my nights on the disco, that was over ages ago. That was But yeah, that for us, having a lunch, we enjoy our lunches is always are very known because it takes hours. Because it's not about the lunch, it's about the conversations with people, Yeah, the lunch too, the paella, Spanish food, Spanish food is pretty good. It's pretty yummy. And we have a paella. I cook a very good paella, by the way.
So Bruce, is this the best way for our viewers, our listeners, to get a hold of you? Is through Facebook at Coach Bruce Sanchez?
That's correct. Because I have a Bruce Sanchez YouTube channel, but that's only in Spanish. If you speak Spanish or understand Spanish, you can jump on YouTube and type my name, Bruce Sanchez, and it goes straight. But yeah, on Facebook in English, that's the Facebook page. Yeah, Coach Bruce Sanchez. Yeah, absolutely.
So if the conversation with Bruce has intrigued you, and you want to know more about his work, and you want to connect and work with Bruce, and he does it, as he said, in Spanish and in English. And probably other languages will struggle through. Please get a hold of Bruce on Coach Bruce Sanchez on Facebook. And he'd love to connect with you.
And what have you got going on at the moment, Bruce? Have you got anything happening that you'd like to share?
Well, at the moment, I am in a research mode right now. I'm still doing some coaching, but I'm more because I'm diving into the Bruce Lipton and Rob Williams with all the Psyche world. I took an online workshop. I'm experiencing or experimental some stuff with a subconscious belief changing, which is, I think it's amazing, and I would like to implementing on my high performance coaching, because what I've noticed many people that, I mean, you might have all the intentions in the world, but if your subconscious mind doesn't support what the changes you want to make, it doesn't matter. You may spend hours and hours and hours. Your subconscious mind runs 95% of your life. 95. Your conscious mind, 5 most, normally something between 2% of your life. So, like I say, you might be super conscious on doing that change. If your subconscious mind doesn't support that, it won't happen. And I was always intrigued. That's fascinating, because that's the reason most of the people self-sabotage. All right? Because I've seen it a lot in money. I was one of those. I was one of those. I tell you that. I'm talking from experience. That I was like, yeah, I was trying. That's how I started finding out some stuff, especially about money, regards to money. I found out that my subconscious mind wasn't supporting that idea of making money, for example, because I have very negative meanings attached to that, and I have very conflicted messages from my dad and my mom when I was a kid. Because one thing I was going to tell you, the first 7 years of your life, on the first 7 years, you're going to get the 95% of your beliefs that's going to run your whole life in those first 7 years. It's unbelievable.
Unless you choose to change it. And then you can reach out to people like Bruce, Neil, myself, people who are agents of change and who want to help you to uplift your life and to be the best you can be. So, Neil, quickly, I know that you're working on your books at the moment. Is there anything you would like to share before we end?
I'm still writing up a storm, and I'm working on a rebranding exercise, but I'd like to leave you that whatever you choose to do, just do it from a playful place. Do it from a place of love, and do it in community. Get together with your friends as close as when COVID, the conditions allow for it. Gather in community and create the community, and do it from a place of love and compassion with your community.
Absolutely. Community is key at this point, I think. Yeah. And Bruce, have you got any final words?
Just remember that you know your levels, you know your behaviors, you know your feelings. You are above that. Just don't forget it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've got a quote for you. Carrie Green said she knew the power of her mind, so she programmed it for success. Let's all do that, hey? Why not? Get out there, design the life you desire, open up, have uplifting conversations, and we'll catch you next week or next fortnight on Uplift. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.